Today on the Gilbert.K Show, we're diving into the world of cinematic sound with a legendary 5-time Emmy-winning sound mixer who shaped the audio of Game of Thrones, Thunderbolts, and Mufasa. She's a powerhouse, a visionary, and one of the most influential women in film sound today. Let's give a big welcome to the one and only Onnalee Blank.
Hey, Onnalee, pleasure to have you on the show. How are you today?
I'm great. Thank you for having me.
Good. Thank you. So we're going to start our first segment, childhood, origins, early influences, and shift into sound. Growing up outside Portland, Oregon, what early memories of sound, perhaps from nature, local music, or even ballet classes, first made you aware of sound as something more than background?
Sure. Growing up in Oregon is a very beautiful place. It's kind of similar landscape as Toronto. But my backyard was really a few blocks away from a huge natural preserve. And so as a child, my friends and I would go out there and build forts and hang out in the woods, and really got in tune to loving listening to winds through different kinds of trees and hearing streams nearby and the echoes of the birds flying overhead. And my friends would always tease me, like, I'd be like, wait, stop, listen, do you hear that? And they're like, oh, God. It was just something I loved. It was peaceful. And I also think years and years of doing ballet. We always had a live accompanist the whole time in our class, and it just dancing and really listening to everything every sound that the body makes, because ballet, you have to be very quiet on stage. So that taught me just to be in an art form without any words.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of fascinating that this is now my job, because I also don't talk and create art.
Yeah. So how at what early age, like what age were you interested in sound?
Early age, I didn't really clock it as interested in sound. That wasn't really ever a thing. But I do remember the very first time I bought myself a recorder, and that time mini disc was very popular. And
Yeah.
a friend of mine and we skipped school, and we were in Portland, and we flew to New York City. We were 16 years old, and we didn't tell our parents. And I remember we got concert tickets to go a Radio City Music Hall show. And I said, well, maybe we should go record the show. And so we walked around New York and bought a mini disc player. And that was the first time ever I got really into actually capturing sound on something that then you can give to your friends. And that was my first early memory. And then who knew?
That's amazing. So you train as a professional ballet dancer, and that discipline of movement, musicality, timing, and grace has clearly left its mark. How did those early years of dance inform you how you listen, design, or mix sound in your film, TV work today? I think you kind of answered it, but is there anything you want to add?
I really feel like if you can't have beauty and grace in a film, just like dancers can on stage or a painter can on a canvas, what are we doing here? I'm really into transitions between scenes. I love, not really necessarily hearing the music come in and it just takes over your subconscious mind, and then it makes you feel a certain way. One of my ballet teachers, her name's Patricia Brewer-Jones. She's amazing. She's taught me a lot of things in life, and how life can be very hard with anything you have going on personally, and just how to turn the noise off in your head. And I remember, and she's like, you really have to create a pure space for art. And how do you do that with the day-to-day tasks, of other things you have to do? And one day I had a really terrible class and she wanted me to stay after. And she's like, see that door over there? I want you to walk to it, hold yourself high, breathe in and out. And I want you to talk and say out loud, walk with grace and power, walk with grace and power, walk with grace and power. And when you reach that doorknob, that's what you do. And I tell that to a lot of my other coworkers, and they kind of use it now because the film industry can be kind of tough with certain producers or directors. They got a lot of money and their vision, and they've been working on this for years, and they can have a very big personality about it. And how do you check as an artist your ego at the door and be a facilitator for their vision? And so
That's true.
It's helped, in that sense. And then you got to be kind of good at your job, but as long as you have that down, I think then people and directors and filmmakers can be more open to be maybe vulnerable and collaborative.
Yeah. That's amazing. So at age 21, you had a car accident ending your dance career. Can you tell us about that moment of transition, emotionally and practically, and how you discovered that sound design and mixing would become your new creative home?
That was hard, getting in a car accident. The train keeps moving, I tried to go to ballet class, I think, a couple weeks after that, and I could hardly even turn my neck. I slipped a couple discs in my back. And so I remember my dad flew into town, and we went to Yosemite and just went hiking. And he goes, I don't want you to do ballet anymore. You're going to do something else.
Mm-hmm.
And it was kind of a interesting moment in my life because it was the only thing I ever thought about ever,
Yeah.
So then I started, okay, well, what else could I do? Maybe I could be a professional groupie. I love music, and I don't want to play music anymore necessarily. I used to play in orchestra.
Yeah.
And so I, got some courage from some friends and moved to LA without knowing anybody. And I went to this very small, 6-month school to learn audio engineering.
Oh, wow.
Which was very random. And there's no computers. Everything was like recording on tape. And I worked my way through the music industry for a couple of years before landing into post-production.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then I still today, I'm like,
history.
I can't believe this is my job. It's so strange.
Wow. That's amazing. Okay, we're going to take a break, and we're going to play a game, This or That. It's a rapid fire game for the audience to get to know you.
Okay.
Okay, let's go. Thunderbolts fight scenes versus Mufasa, the Lion King musical moments.
Mufasa musical moments.
Mixing realistic ambient texture versus stylized abstract sound, like the void in Thunderbolts.
Both of them. They're so different. I love them both.
Working with large orchestra score versus working with minimal, intimate instrumental or voice.
Large orchestra score.
Field recording natural sounds versus creating synthetic or digitally designed textures.
Recording natural sounds.
Supervising sound editor plus re-recording mixel dual role versus focusing on just one of those roles?
Tie, depending on the movie.
Okay. Here's another one. Big budget tentpole features versus smaller character-driven drama. Limited series like The Underground Railroad.
That's tough because Underground Railroad is something I will never forget that I worked on in my whole life. Where some of the other big budget movies, you might forget that you worked on them. So
Yeah.
that's a tough one. Yeah. Underground.
Sound that overtly reveals itself versus sound that acts beneath the surface to shape mood.
It's hard not to say tie on all these because
Yeah, that's fine. You can say
yeah,
that. That's
yeah,
fine.
this is because you want both of those
Yeah, that's fine.
emotions. Yeah.
Immersive or spatial audio environments versus traditional stereo or standard surround.
Immersive.
Depends on project.
Immersive.
Immersive.
All the
okay.
way.
Okay, and last one, risking something experimental versus staying safely in your proven style.
Experimental. All day long. Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to our next segment, training, breakthrough, projects, and awards. After that transition, how did you get started in the technical side of sound? What were the first gigs, the mentors that shaped your development? So you mentioned about the training that you took, and then you joined the...
Yeah, so after I finished this trade school, I got a job at this wonderful music recording studio called the Village Recorder, which is here in Los Angeles, over in West LA. It's been there a long time. The owner, Jeff Greenberg, he's still making that place rock. And when I got hired there, I think we're making $6 an hour. It was crazy. And we were very excited. Everybody working there was very excited that we're getting $6 an hour. And really learned a lot on how to work in a studio. I remember my first gig, I think first day or second day ever working there. I worked with Ry Cooder and his son on something. They came in to just jam out, and I was just in awe of pure talent. And then a friend that I became friends with as he was coming in and out of the studio, was working at Rick Rubin's, and he had a family sort of emergency, and he asked me if I could come over and take his spot for a month and I said, oh my gosh, yes, this is a great opportunity. So I left the Village Recorder and worked at Rick Rubin's house, which then that position, I ended up working there for about a year, worked out with some incredible records, like the Johnny Cash's last record, Jay-Z's 99 Problems.
Wow.
Tons of just, Shakira, you name it, all different people are coming in and out of there all the time. It was pretty tough invoicing record labels and then hoping you would get paid this month. And it was a sort of eye-opening experience going, what's this going to look like in 10 years?
Yeah.
And a friend of mine was, or still is, Danny Elfman's personal assistant. And she goes, oh, he needs somebody in the studio. Would you be open to coming over? So I went over there and met with him. And I got a job working with her and at Danny Elfman's house. And we worked on Charlie and the Chocolate Factory and Corpse Bride. And it was the first time, I think, in my life I realized how creative film was, even though, Danny was composing. And I just was sort of, by watching and learning, I was like, oh, there's music editors and there's these other positions. And okay, maybe film isn't for sellouts. Maybe, there's healthcare, and I worked for Danny for maybe a year and a half or 2 years, something like that. And he mentioned, he's like, why don't you try to work in a post-production facility. And I didn't really even know what that meant. But he helped me get a job at this company called Tadeo, which was a great post-production facility. It's no longer here in Los Angeles, but they had many locations. And I got a job just entry level. It was a humbling experience after working with Johnny Cash and Jay-Z and Danny Elfman, then getting a job at this post-production facility, logging tapes in a vault. I
Yeah.
was like, what am I doing? What am I doing? And this engineer said, why don't you come and hang out with me at the other facility and you can learn how to be a mix technician? And I was like, oh, what's that? And I remember sitting with this wonderful person, Unsung Song, who is still a wonderful mix technician. And she was so uber smart and I was very intimidated by her. She was like whipping around and with all the computers. But I learned a lot, and I got then a job on a smaller stage, not the big film stage, as a mix tech. And I did that. They took a leap of faith on me. I got into the union, which was incredible. I was like, I have health care. I felt like I made it. I was so proud. I called my parents right away. And then just started working on indie films, and I did a lot of music editing because that's sort of what I knew from coming from the music side. And then someone's like, oh, do you want to take over sound supervising this indie film? I said, sure. I had no idea what that meant. And he's like, okay, so I kind of cut most of the BGs, but you have to finish cutting them. I said, okay, great. I get off the phone call with them and I Googled, what are BGs? So, definitely a learn by doing, and met a lot of great people along the way. I met Barry Jenkins, obviously. When I was a mix tech at Tadeo, Joy McMillan, who is Barry's longtime friend. They went to film school together. Now, his film editor. She was working next door on a Tyler Perry project, and I just thought she was great. I loved her laugh. I loved her whole style, and I just kind of wanted to be around her energy. And I said, hey, you want to go shopping and be friends? I think I said something super corny, and she's like, okay. And we became friends. And she said, this friend of mine made this short film. Do you want to do it? I said, okay, sure. So we got the stage for free next door at Tadeo, and Barry walks in, and I mixed his short film for free, and that's how sort of that relationship started to blossom. And same with Destin Cretton, who now does a lot of Marvel movies. But we met on this great film that he did called I'm Not a Hipster, which it's such a wonderful film. He shot it in his apartment. He recorded all the Foley himself. It was such a, nice sort of, let's just do this indie film together. And a lot of the people he still works with, just like Barry, they still work together. So it's a nice group to be a part of, making art.
Wow,
And then
that's very inspiring.
Here we are. They're still hiring me. Fingers crossed.
That's amazing. Great. So one of your recent high-profile projects is Thunderbolts 2025 for Disney Plus and Marvel. What were the biggest sound design or mixing challenges on that film? Or the sonic barrier inside Voss?
So what made Thunderbolts more challenging sonic-wise than other Marvel films is it's not as bombastic and hit you with all the sound and Marvel-y, I guess, if that's a thing. Our director was very adamant about the characters are sort of misfits, and they are not really big superhero-y. They don't really save the world really until the end of the movie in their own way.
Yeah.
So I don't want it so big. Let's tone it down. How can we make things messy? How can we make things indie? And I think that was harder than people think, because you have these big fight sequences, but okay, let's not make it too clean. Let's make it messy, and then they can grow. It has somewhere to grow in the movie, and that's what we were trying to accomplish. And
Wow.
not to make the sound too cool,
Yeah.
like with too much reverb and no delay. Like, that would really take the director out of the movie. He was very specific about certain things where, in other Marvel movies, it's like, boom, give me the low end, more reverb, So it was a different way to like see the picture, but keep the sound in a different zone.
So did you use like different, like, or maybe legacy equipment or something to be able to come up with the sound, or?
On the effects side, Michael Samanek, yeah, he used some outboard reverbs to try to, we love outboard. I love outboard gear. Anytime I'm like, ooh, what do you guys got back there in the closet? And a lot of people don't really want to hook it up anymore, and I get it.
Yeah.
It's a thing, but just trying to keep it more organic and less quote unquote stylized.
Okay.
Was the big challenge.
Yeah. Okay. Another recent work is Mufasa, The Lion King. How did working on a story so deeply connected to music, myth, and emotional legacy push you in new ways as a sound designer, mixer?
We really wanted this, Barry and Joy really wanted this movie to sound different than the other Lion King movies, right? And so how can we do that with keeping it true to sort of the franchise? We did so much field recording for Mufasa, like 2.5 years of field recording. All over, found 3 different field recorders because it was kind of COVID time, so it was hard to kind of travel and go places. So Watson Wu, great field recordist, Sebastian Dunn, great field recordist, and George Wald. And Sebastian and George were over in Africa and South Africa and recorded real lions for 2 years, elephants, every kind of wind, blades of grass. And, Watson and I went down to, there's this preserve in San Antonio, Texas, and they had 2 warthogs, and we even built necklaces for them to wear with these recorders and microphones on, and spent quite a few days just recording anything that we could. And what we did with the lions is had real human breath, really close mic'd on the microphone, like that. And we married it with the emotion of the lion. So once we recorded all the lions, Harry Cohen, one of our sound designers on the project, legend, if no one's heard of him, edited all the recordings, put them in folders based off of emotion. So sad lion, happy lion, because lions don't really sit around and roar. So how can we get all the nuances? And he could give me all that material. I would marry it with real human breath so you couldn't tell. And then a lot of times the animation department would animate to our sound. It really helped sort of the workflow going back and forth.
Yeah.
Because we were giving sound really, really early into the picture department. That was challenging. We were always mixing on that show for a long time.
Wow, that's amazing. So you've won 5 primetime Emmys, many for Game of Thrones, with specific wins. Do you think which specific wins do you think were most transformative for your career, whether because of visibility, personal satisfaction?
I think when we won that first one, we knew we weren't going to be fired for the next season. That show was really challenging. It got easier as the years went on. My mix partner and I were on that show for 10 years, long time, and it was challenging because of all the costumes. Where do they put the mics? And as the years went on, the costume department did help us and would make little pockets for the microphones so they could capture a little bit cleaner production dialogue, and which really helped us with the ADR line count and everything like that. But Battle of the Bastards, my mix partner and I love that sequence. It's incredible. Because how do you keep a 45-minute battle without it bombast? Yeah, how do you keep it alive and keep going and not repeating the same tricks? And so it was fun. Where can we take music out? Where can we pitch certain things in the key of the music? And it was a lot of that.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. On the Underground Railroad limited series, you served as supervising sound editor and re-recording mixer. How did you balance those dual roles on a series with such emotional weight, historical importance, and a diverse sonic palette?
Well, we did sound editorial on that, as 9 parts. We did worked on that for about a year, and then we started mixing. So the shows were almost completely edited. Luke Giblian was our stage editor, who's a fantastic designer. Harry Cohen was also on that. So we had Jay Jennings. We had a very wonderful sound team to help support while we finished the show.
That's amazing. Okay, we're going to move on to our final break. We're going to play game True or False, and it's time to test some quirky facts about your life and career. Are you ready, Onnalee?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
That's true or false. You won your 5th Emmy when Game of Thrones won the Long Night episode. For the Long Night episode.
Correct.
True or false. Thunderbolts require designing entirely new sound textures for the void, which is a mental realm, rather than using stock or library sounds.
Correct.
True or false. The Underground Railroad was the first limited series in which you served both as supervising sound editor and re-recording mixer.
Yes.
Okay. True or false. True or false. You worked on Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings 2021 and Thor, Love and Thunder 2022, in addition to more narrative-driven dramas.
Yes. Correct.
And true or false. The music in Mufasa, The Lion King, was the most challenging score you've mixed because of its legacy and cultural expectations.
Yeah.
And true or false, one of your Emmy wins was for Battle of the Bastards episode of Game of Thrones.
That's correct.
And true or false, in Thunderbolts, designing the sonic barrier inside Vault's desert vault involved high-frequency components meant to evoke discomfort.
I don't know if Samson did that, actually. I would have to ask him. Samson was our sound designer for that section.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask him. I don't know.
Okay. True or false, you have more Emmy wins than any other female sound professional in history.
That's correct.
And true or false, for the Underground Railroad, early production including building custom ambient sound libraries before principal photography.
Correct.
Okay, we're going to move on to our final segment, Vision, Advice, Future, and Legacy. Looking ahead, are there stories, formats, or technologies that you're itching to explore but haven't yet? What would your dream project would be right now?
I don't know about a dream project because I feel like
Yeah.
Well, I really like working with my friends. I love working with Barry and Joy and Destin and Malcolm Washington. And um, I think it could be fun to, say, do a sound design scape for a new thing at Disneyland for new, like if they have a Mufasa world, why is there not a Lion King world? That would
Yeah.
be fun. That would be something different and fun to do. I haven't done that. And I haven't really done any gaming stuff. I don't have the inclination to do gaming. I've heard it's
Yeah.
just a lot of work. And so, but a Disneyland amusement thing, that could be kind of cool.
Yeah. For younger folks, dancers, or creatives who might face a pivot, injury, change of path, or creative block, what mindset, habits, or supports got you through, and what would you recommend?
That sometimes an injury or a huge challenge is, when you look back on it, is a hidden miracle.
Yeah.
Try everything. Try any job. Try it all. Don't have any ego or shame or anything around it, because you never know who you'll meet. You'll never know what you will like and what you'll learn about yourself.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
When people watch one of your projects, say Thunderbolts, the Underground Railroad, what do you hope they feel or carry away from your sound, beyond dialogue, music, or effects? Something more visceral.
I hope they carry that they had an emotion related to the soundscape of what they experienced.
Mm-hmm.
I
And
think that's cool.
yeah, thinking about your legacy, how do you want your sound fingerprint to be remembered? What qualities do you hope to become associated with Onnalee's blank sound in the years and decades to come?
My legacy makes me sound like I'm old.
Sorry.
I think something that I would love people to, when they watch, say, like If Beale Street Could Talk and Underground Railroad, and the beauty that what sound brings, how beautiful it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's like when I would watch, before I got into doing what I'm doing, I would watch some of these Coen Brothers movies, and I was just in awe of certain things that Skip Leavesay would do with the soundscape, even if it's just the wind changes as the character looks down to the door, on Barton Fink, for instance. And I feel if a couple people notice the detail and the nuances of sound, that I'm doing my job.
Yeah, that's correct. So if you were speaking directly to girls or women who loves movies and sound, but doesn't know where to start, and what are the first 3 practical steps they should take? And what do you wish someone has told you about breaking into the film industry as a woman?
It's much easier now. I would say, well, one, you got to be better than the boys. So then people take you seriously. And that's in anything, in any career, I feel. For getting into the sound business, even not just for women, pick a path. Try to find some path. Maybe I'll go into it logging tapes in a vault. And then when you get in there, figure out what's the quickest path to get you out of that vault. So then you can start doing art. And always do stuff for free. I still do projects and help out people for free. I don't just have a good work ethic and show up, even if you don't know what you're doing. Like when I had to Google Bee Gees, just you'll figure it out. Just don't give up. Try a million things. And it's okay to make mistakes. And it's okay to say, I actually don't really know what that is.
Mhm.
Find a
That's-
good mentor. Get a mentor. Find someone that you can share ideas with. Is
Mhm.
really important. Yeah.
Just want to ask you about the final question about what do you think about AI? Are you excited about it? Are you worried about it?
I think I'm just worried about AI in general as a whole with our whole world, not necessarily in sound. I think there's some tools that AI can do that can help our jobs, especially as far as doing dialogue assemblies and certain things like that. I know there's some companies that are making AI programs to render out all of our different deliverables, which means, if people don't know what that means, when you make a big movie, you have to make a small mix for the TV, and there's these programs that can just do it. I'm all for technology helping, but I don't want AI to take away from the art.
Yeah.
And, okay, we made this great film for this director. We're not going to listen to the stereo thing. That computer thing's going to do it. And then you listen to it on TV. You're like, it sounds like what? And then the director gets upset. So I hope it can become a tool where we can use it and build from, and hopefully it won't take too many jobs away. I think a lot of people in the sound industry are nervous about that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Okay, Onnalee, we're nearing the end of the show. That's all, folks. Thank you for watching. Onnalee Blank, everyone. Thank you, Onnalee.
Thank you very much for having me. It was a pleasure.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.